Well, I call this little Jabberwocky trios because there are some legends that have come in threes. Clapton, Beck, and Page all came from one formative unit, the Yardbirds. Later all went on to bigger things from that one breeding ground. Clapton left the Yardbirds to join another breeding ground, John Mayall's band, the Blues Breakers, with Clapton was the first. Peter Green and Mick Taylor went on to bigger things, namely Fleetwood Mac and the Rolling Stones. And of course, Clapton did Cream, Blind Faith, Derek and the Dominoes, Delaney and Bonnie with Clapton, and solo. He's had 24 Billboard charting singles as a solo artist. I just found that out. Buffalo Springfield is another breeding ground, and it's pretty much known for the three big writers that came out of it, although there is a fourth. I'll get to. Buffalo Springfield had Stephen Stills, Neil Young, Richie Furay, and at the end, Jim Messina. So from that band came Crosby, Stills, and Nash, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young, Manassas, Crazy Horse. They were together separately, but Neil Young pulled them out of obscurity. Poco, Loggins, and Messina, Stills, Young, and Crosby, Nash. Jim Messina was just in the tail end of Buffalo Springfield. He replaced Bruce Palmer, who was deported because he's Canadian and caught with drugs. But he did pretty well for himself. He was their producer, so he was with the band all along, but I don't think his picture's on any of the albums, maybe the greatest hits that came out after they broke up. And anyway, America is another example of a three-piece band, at least at first, with three guitars, three voices, three writers. They used 6-string, 12-string, some capoed, some not, all at the same time. The first album is an acoustic masterpiece. 3 acoustic guitars, bass, and drums. Great harmonies, great songwriting. For your homework, you should explore the origins of some of these bands. Like I didn't get to the Byrds, who weren't part of that trio, but David Crosby did join the Crosby, Stills, and Nash, I guess. The Byrds had Fifth Dimension and Younger Than Yesterday albums, are my favorites, but others have other favorites of their own. Chris Hillman went to Manassas with Stephen Stills, and Stills gave him a killer mandolin. Hillman plays to this day, but Manassas is Stephen Stills' golden masterpiece, if you ask me, the first album anyway. Crosby with the CSN, CSNY, Crosby Nash, and then it got better and better, CPR. They made 2 studio albums and 1 live album, fantastic. And then he did like 5 solo albums in the 2010s, the best things he ever did in his life, if you ask me. Also explored the Yardbirds, who branched off into, with not just Clapton, but into Blind Faith, Cream, the Delaney and Bonnie, Derek and the Dominoes, with Peter Green from Blues Breakers, Fleetwood Mac. But check out the 67 to 74 stuff, pre-Lindsay and Stevie. Peter Green's just a master. And as far as Mick Taylor, he underperformed, but Giddy Up is a great song from one of his solo albums. But he did play a lot of good stuff with John Mayall, and he was with the band longer than Peter Green or Eric Clapton, so he got 2 or 3 albums under his belt. So there's some trios for you. Bye-bye. Well, all right. Any music you play is most likely going to be a blend of everything you've ever heard, even things you don't like. I couldn't stand country even as a kid, but my dad loved it and played it all the time, so I got quite an education in it. And I was eventually able to distinguish talent, skill, and musicianship from the fluff. Chet Atkins is like the Hendrix of early guitar, he and Les Paul. But then again, Johnny Cash transcended country. He's just his own genre. Don Rich, the guitarist for Buck Owens, fantastic. Even as a Hendrix lover, I would watch Don Rich on any show I could find him on. Roy Clark, master. Jerry Reed, unbelievable. Glenn Campbell, not just his good time show, but his playing, part of the Wrecking Crew. And I used to watch Hee Haw just for the musicians, and they had some of the best players on the planet on there. On the Andy Griffith Show, Clarence White from the Byrds played there. And the Dillards. Bluegrass came to my attention eventually, and it's like country on steroids, so check that out. Musicians are phenomenal. Then Celtic and old 1500s on up musicians, Irish music. It's like nuclear bluegrass. So it's like 10 times country, and all probably influenced my writing, sort of a blend, guided by my own playing limitations, of course, but it gave me sort of a hint at beats, tones, textures, treatments, phrasing. Study music you don't like, because you'll find some technique in it that you can use in something you do like. When I teach guitar, I remember I couldn't quite get into new wave music until students insisted I teach them some of those songs. And the Cars in particular opened my understanding to that. And Elliot Easton's solos each one's a gem. I learned to even appreciate a band like Judas Priest, who I still don't like, but I appreciate the quality of their writing. It was tremendously difficult and creative and complicated, more than I would have expected, so I learned something there. You might like or dislike jazz, opera, country, reggae, blues, but don't shut it out. Improve yourself, experience it, and you'll see maybe you'll prove yourself right. You don't like it, but maybe you'll find you do like some of these things. So that's the musical blends part 2, and you'll get something good out of every song you ever hear.